Hello, this is Oopskid and welcome back to Blender. Now, last time I showed you a tutorial on how to do armature stuff, but this time I'm thinking I want to downgrade it so you actually know Blender instead of like being confused. So I'm now going to actually start a proper Blender series where I'm going to make everything really easy for you. As you can see down here is this thing which shows you what I'm pressing. I can press A, I can press S, I can undo that with Control Z, and I press A again. So, this is what you start off with when you go to File New, or you just open Blender. This is what you start off with. Now, I'm going to show you almost every single button in Blender, so I'm going to start off by simply showing you how to select everything, because it starts you off with a camera, a light, a cube, and nothing else but a grid. It has a grid here, and it also has a 3D cursor, which I'll tell you a bit more about later. So to rotate around, to orbit, you hold the scroll wheel button down. To zoom in and out, you just scroll the mouse wheel in and out. So after I told you that, now if you want to move about, you want to hold shift and scroll wheel. For some reason shift isn't appearing here, but it's shift and scroll wheel to move about. And here's a technique. So if you zoom in too much to something, right, the zoom starts to get slower and slower, and then it starts to get longer and longer, as in like this. If I want to zoom in on this, let's say this point here, right, let's just geez, for some reason this isn't. Oh, why is that? There we go. So I'm zooming in on this point here. Now, if I don't know how to put this, but see when you zoom, the zoom starts to stop zooming in. Like, as you can see, the zoom is starting to use less, like, it's doing less and less of an effect. Because it starts to get slower and slower when I'm zooming in, and it starts to get slower and slower when I'm zooming out. Now, when you start up a new file and it appears with this stuff, you normally wouldn't want to have those stuff to start with in the first place. So, press A to select everything, and then right here, press delete, and then press delete again. That's just made everything disappear. But if this window isn't here, then it's obviously because this is either like that, which you can easily just press the plus button and it'll come back, or stuff like this has been checked off. You want to check them on so I can show you everything. So now there's nothing here except just a little grid, which you can use the options like snap to. Why is my mouse okay there? My scroll wheel isn't working that great. So when you go in Blender, you would mostly want to create something, because what's the point of coming on Blender and not doing anything? So I'm going to show you how to make 3D objects first. So you go to create right here, and you can see it calls it mesh. Mesh just means a 3D object. It just means a construction of a 3D object, like plane. Now, here's something I want to show you quickly. I'm going to delete that. This 3D cursor is where most stuff will happen. If I just normally click right there, the 3D cursor will go there. Now, if I create something, it'll create it to the 3D cursor. If you press Control Z, it'll undo what you've just done. If you can press Control Y, it will redo what you just done, but Control Shift C. Okay, certain programs use Control Y to redo something, but in Blender it's Control Shift Z. So I'm going to do Control Z again to undo that. Now, I want to quickly tell you something. Even if you're experienced in Blender, you just want to look at this video to find out what different buttons you use for stuff. It's still important that you hear me out right here. There's a difference between knowing something and not knowing something. You may think I'm being really dumb right now, but I mean this really seriously. I could easily show you going to create and creating this, right? And I can easily show you just me doing a bunch of random stuff with it. But you can copy that easily, but you might not know what you're doing. So I'm going to try and explain in the best way possible what you're doing, so you understand what you're doing. So, right, so I just created a plane now. See these arrows here? This is what you call X, Y, and Z. These arrows right here, so it's X, Y, and Z. Now, the reason why these arrows are here is because if your bar isn't already there, then press the plus button, okay? So right here, and if you don't have this bit here, then I want you to click that. So, and then you might have something else selected, but you want this. So this is how you move objects about. As you can see, right here, when I move an arrow, and it checks a different checkbox to show what I'm moving. And also, if you want to be very precise with how you're moving it, if I move this up, it just moved the Z. Now, I can just cross that off and put 2. And there, I just changed it, and then I can cross off and do 0 and enter. To cross off, it's just backspace like you would do in most other programs. So yeah. Now I want to quickly explain to you something, why this 3D object is here, because I said there's a difference between knowing and not knowing. So, the reason this 3D object is here is because if you're really bad at math, I'll explain this to you. So up here, it has the version of Blender, but here it has vertices 4. It has faces 1, triz, which is 2. I don't know, I forgot what you call triz, but I know what they mean. Objects 1, because I've selected only one object. Lamp 0. Memory, the amount of memory Blender's using right now. And it's a plane that we've selected. To select stuff, by the way, A is to obviously select all and deselect all. But to select individual objects, you press right click and you can't deselect it with pressing right click again, so press A. Now, what I was saying with vertices and faces and triz is these 4 corners right here, that corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner, are vertices. Although we don't call them corners and we don't call them edges. We call them vertices. And that's because what the computer is doing is because it's pinpointing the location of these 4 dots, and then it's drawing a line from each of these dots to each other, and then once it's selected that area, it's then colouring in what's inside. Now, this whole square is only one face, because it's only coloured in one area. So yeah, there's 4 vertices, which is those dots here, and there's one face. But what a triz is how much triangles can make up this square. Now you can obviously tell if you cut a square in half from this point to this point. So I'm just gonna say it again, this point to this point. If you cut that in half, you can easily tell it'll be two triangles. So this is just telling us basic information we want to know. And yeah, once we select it, it'll tell us how much objects out of the amount of objects that we have is selected. As in, that's the selected, that's the amount of objects we have. Now, there's other stuff here in the crates, like lamps and other. Now, I am gonna, before I show you any of those things, I am just gonna show you a basic thing that you can do to make your own objects. Although unfortunately, you can't start off without an object, so you have to actually get an object to make an object. So we're starting with this plane right here. Now if you come down here and press edit mode, these dots right here shows you the vertices now. And now this has actually changed the tools mode. It's changed it and it's added way more things. Now, like selecting everything and deselecting, you press A to select and deselect, and you do right click to select individual points. Now, I selected that point, and if I move up here, you'll see that this is not flat anymore. I'm going to Control Z and show you that again. It's not flat anymore. I've just changed the shape of this object. Now, there's also another thing I quickly want to show you. See delete. There's way more stuff now. That's why I wanted to show you what's the difference between vertices. Oh, edges is new. Right. When you come onto edit mode, edges is a new thing. So I'll select that, and then if I select this point as well, that one line is an edge that's drawn from those, well, from one point to the other point. So in delete, if you delete a vertice, then boom, you don't see any color because it can't color in anymore, because you're just taking out one of the points. Vertices is the most important thing of the object, right? Now edges, you'll use this if you just want to delete this line right here, or any other. I mean, I could delete those two lines, but I just want to show you right now, deleting this one line, you still get all the other lines. Now, faces. If I press delete faces, it won't do anything. You have to actually select the whole entire colored area, and once you select that, you'll see it highlights all of it. And when you press delete faces, it disappears. Now, there's also another button, only edges and faces, which leaves these singular dots here, right? If I Control Z that. And I can also only faces. So you can also have these edges still here. This is really important for quite a lot of things that I might show you later. But now we're going to undo everything by Control Z-ing again. Now, there's another thing. Dissolve vertices, right? They all disappeared because I just dissolved the vertices. Now, if I dissolve this vertex, see right there, you can see it's actually done something else than when I press delete vertex. See? And you know why? Because when I press dissolve, it deletes the vertice, but it goes to the other vertices which are connected to that one, and it draws a line between those two. So when I delete it, it doesn't delete all of the colored area, and it instead makes it still an object. This is even more useful than quite a lot of other things, because look, right now there's only one triz, and then I undo it, it's two triz, because I told you it's a triangle. This is made up of two triangles, right? I'm going to dissolve vertices again. Now I haven't found out what this does, I'm going to dissolve that, and yes. When it dissolves it, it goes and it creates it into the tris, or it just draws a point to the two closest points to the one that just got deleted. Now dissolve faces. It's okay. That's weird. I've not done that before. I'll explain it later, okay? But for now, limited dissolve. Right, let's do limited dissolve. It done nothing there. Let's do limited dissolve again. Nothing. And limited dissolve. See, it done nothing. I'm going to explain this later as well. Edge collapse. Now, I'll explain this later as well because we can't do anything right now to explain more stuff. And merge. This is where the center point becomes useful, but for now, well, the 3D cursor becomes useful. I'm not going to explain that right now though. So, let's go back to object mode. So, there's actually another thing down here. When I click this, there's also this. This is how to rotate an object. The green is Y, the red is X, and the blue is Z. And this bit right here around the edge is just makes it do a barrel roll. It just makes it do a roll. So it's really doing Y and X at the same time. So you don't have to do them both. Right now, this center bit here rotates it in any way you want because you can just freely move your mouse about and it'll follow it. But if you want to specifically make it rotate in that direction right here, let's actually go like this, in that direction right there, then I know it's a little difficult to select it, but oh, right there. That's that. It's Control Z, and then let's do this. Then that will make that rotate in that way. And then this will make that rotate in that way. Obviously it works in reverse. Just to the way my mouse is. It sounded like I got confused there for a second, but no. The way it actually does it is, these circles, it doesn't rotate it in the direction of the circles. These circles highlight what way, oh, what's it? How to explain? No, actually, I can't explain it. Blender is really weird. With these circles, it depends on what way you're looking at it, and it'll just randomly do it. But anyway, there's also the last button, scale, which with the X, Y, and the Z, all it will do is stretch the vertices in the direction that you point in. It's really just the same, although this is important right here. I can't scale it up and down. That's because it doesn't have enough vertices to scale up and down. It doesn't have two vertices to pull away from each other. Because when you're scaling, it takes the center of the object, and if you're doing the scale, which is the red bit, then it'll take the two halves. It'll take one half of the vertices and it'll go that way. Another half of the vertices and go that way. When you're doing Y, it'll take one half and it'll go that way. And it'll take another half and it'll go back that way. But unfortunately, as you see, if I made it scale upwards, it would take the whole object with it, and Blender would not do that. Because there's no point of having a scale button there for going up if it's just going to take the whole object with it. The reason it does that is because there's not enough vertices. Now, to show you if it did have enough vertices, if I delete this, went to create, I made a cube which has got 8 vertices, it's got 8 points, and it's got 12 trees, because each coloured in square here has got 2. Now it's also got 6 faces, because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, to save space, quite a lot of computers, when they're rendering a cube, they don't render the vertices by themselves. They take the vertex there and the vertex there, and it colours in the surrounding area, but yeah. So now I'm going to show you the up and down button. Yep, the up and down button works, because now it has half that go in that way, half that go up this way, and half that can go this way. And I just pressed A there if you didn't already know how to deselect everything. Great, I was trying to think of something. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm a really strange person. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yes, here's another button. Duplicate. Now, if I had an object and I just wanted to, instead of going to create a cube, or if I already made an object, my own custom object from this object, then, and I wanted another one of it, I just press duplicate, and then I move my mouse to where I want it to be, and I click again, and it'll duplicate it. But I want to show you, if you want to be really precise when duplicating, you can press duplicate, leave the mouse at the exact same position, and press it again. The cube will be in the same position, but now you can move it, oops, you can move it like that, so now it looks like that, but it's really 2 cubes. That's just for precision though. Oh wait, actually going back, there's another thing we can do. If we hold shift and select another object, right, so if you do right click and hold shift and select another object, that's how to select separate objects, right? If I've already told you, I think you press A to select them all, but press B and you actually get this, where if you click and drag, it'll select all the objects which were in this little box here. Why does it say Eve tweak? Right, then I want to show you this join button. If I press join, if I deselect and select it again, they're both still the same bit, but you can see it didn't merge the vertices together. The reason? Because it's still 2 separate objects. It's just that they move together now. As in, look, I'm selecting the object that it was before they joined together. I can still move it apart, and then if I go back in, it's still there, but that's because it can't merge the vertices together. And that brings us on to another topic that I want to show you. Back in edit, actually, it'll be best if I show you with a plane. Oops, it made that the 3D cursor. If I go into edit mode and I still have all the bits selected, I can go and press extrude region, and I can move it, or for precision I can press that and press again and move with the arrows. Now you can see what it's done. It created more vertices prior to the vertices which were there. So instead of, if you want vertices to be together, you can do that. Now I've got 2 cubes that are together, but you can see the vertices are like that. They're joined together. That's because it's the same object in the first place. Now, if I go back to plane, not to plane, but to the plane, then if I hold this vertices and I press subdivide, it does nothing. I'll undo that. If I hold these two, I'll press subdivide, and hey, look what it's done. It's created another vertex right there that I can move about. And now it's not really a plane anymore, it's more of a, well, it's not a square anymore, it's more of a pentagon. If I just do this and make it, yep, there, it's a pentagon now. But I'm going to undo that all. So yeah, you make more vertices which you can drag around, which are linked to those vertices right there. So all it does is just halves what's already there, but I can now add more faces. If I subdivide, there's now 4 faces, because there's 4 squares connected together. I could press subdivide and it'll keep on going on until you don't see anything, and it starts to get so slow that my computer could crash right now. I'm going to delete that because it's so slow right now. Yep, there we go. There's also a couple of other buttons. Let's just create this. And when you create something in edit mode, it's already in edit mode, so it's fine. So I want to show you loop, cut, and slide. Instead of it just halving everything, you can actually half it yourself like that, and then move it to the point you want it to be, like this. I can half that, can make it like that, and you can see it actually looks really nice, because it's more of a right angle. Instead of like more than one cube, I can select this cube right here. Like, instead of 4 individual squares, I now can make my own squares like this. That is really useful, by the way. So you really want to use that. But there's also another thing I want to show you, which is called knife. Now, you can click a vertice, and then you drag it to another vertice like this, and boom. Right click just doesn't save it, so I'm gonna do from this vertices to this vertices. And now, oh wait, this vertices to this vertices. Do I press enter? Yeah, I press enter after that. Now, I've created more faces. It's really the same as the trees. All I've done is created more than one triangle. But there's also another thing you can use this for, because you don't need to use it to select a vertex. You can use it to make more than one vertices. So now, if I confirm, I've just created another vertices, but also created another edge, which means now I can take out this triangle. Oops, I'm sorry, I mean faces. That's something you'll get mixed up with quite a lot, by the way. Safari, I would pay close eye to what you press when you press delete. There's also duplicate, which is obviously if you just duplicate, you'll just duplicate like normal. Now, spin and screw. These are something you use the 3D cursor for. If I put it there, select it all, press spin. Look what's done. It's really hard to explain what's just done, but basically what's done is that it's duplicated itself over and over again, and it connected all of its duplicate selves with extra edges right here. And now it also duplicated itself revolving around this 3D cursor. And I can change them into steps like 100, which is now subdivided it more. But it's also made it a nicer curve. You can also press screw, but you need a string of connected vertices too. This is a good way to show you the last button before I end this episode. If I select this and I've already showed you extrude. Yeah, I have already showed you extrude. What am I talking about? I can extrude individual vertices though. I'm going to do that. Now, I've never done screw before, so I don't know how you do it. I think you do that. Screw. Okay. That's good because I can actually explain what I just done there. So, if I do this and I press screw, it looks like a whole mess, doesn't it? But what's actually happening is that this is the vertices where it's going to start at, and it's going to revolve all the way around to this vertices. Also revolving it around, duplicating this edge. So it's kind of complicated. Look, really all it's done is that it's went from that bit there, it's duplicated that edge over, and it's went all the way around, and it's ended from that edge to that edge. So that went all the way around in the middle and went there. But I also taken this, flipped it over, and made that go all the way around to this bit. I know it's really difficult to understand, but once you get used to it, you'll understand. You can already tell that from the beginning. Oh, gee, I'm sorry. Solid. You can already tell from the beginning of this episode that it was really easy, and now it's really difficult compared to what I first started off with. That's okay. But that's the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode where I'll probably talk about shading with the viewport. I'm going to talk about sculpt, weight, and blender. Oh no, I won't do that yet, but I'll show you sculpt and weight for sure. That's the end of this episode though. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.